Are alive. We are back with the Golden Retriever themed. Where's the Golden Retriever? There's the Golden Retriever. Just a quick check-in of my spring break edition for the Hack Reactor 19-week course. It's not actually 19 weeks, it's 20 weeks because 1 week is the spring break. There's no class. So this video is just to kind of document and talk about a little bit about what I did this week. Yeah, in the meantime, we're going to show drone footage of where I'm at, Santa Rosa de Cabal. This is not in the town, this is just outside the town in the hot springs. So to go into this week, one of the great things I liked about this week was I was able to sleep in an extra hour, normally in the morning. So normally I get up around 7. Now this week I was getting up around 8:30 most of the days. Fulfilling my other work obligations that I have here in Colombia that assists also my girlfriend, where I'm overseeing the digital marketing of pitch decks and logos and one-pager creations with our small, but it is a design team here in Colombia. And right now I think we have like seven projects I'm a part of. And hopefully those will be getting done over the next week or so, but that did take up a fair amount of my day-to-day workday through this past Monday and Friday. In addition, during the spring break, I did a numerous amount of meditation, normally in the morning or sometimes in the afternoon, and it was nice just not have to be rushed to where I had to be on, whether it's camera or just in this case like having to go to the office and having to be at the office at a specific time. Because there's specific check-ins throughout the Hack Reactor course where you have to have your camera on, you have to enter an attendance token, and it was just nice not having to do that and just going around my own schedule at my own convenience and my own time. In addition, I hanged out with the family a lot this week. Also made sure I had time to myself. One of those activities though was waking up at like 5:30 in the morning to go with my suegro, the father of Val, my girlfriend, to his eye appointment. That was at like 6:30 in the morning. We had to go to the bigger city. It's about a 20 to 30 minute drive depending on traffic from the town itself, and I did take a little footage of that, so you'll see. Muy buenos dias. Down there is Senor Rodrigo. It is still dusk. Is that dusk when it's really early morning? It's 5:30. I'm accompanying this man right here to an eye appointment because he just had eye surgery yesterday, and we're going to Periera. That's really fun and exciting, huh? Yeah, it is. That's what we're doing today, this morning, with the Tinto. Wow. Okay, ciao.
Buenos días, Rodrigo. ¿Qué más? Oh, bien, okay.
Sander, ¿cómo estás?
La novela muy grande. De cerca veo un poquito más por el lado izquierdo. Según el examen que me dice. No, y en esos casos uno no puede. Pues, tiene que ser uno muy malo para tener con esos casos también, ¿cierto? Es asistencial. Ella vio que no servía para trabajar en asistencial. O sea que ustedes están contentos también, Valeria. Muy bueno porque Chicago es la 4ª ciudad de Estados Unidos. Eso es inmenso. Chicago, voltea usted. Lo acaba y para qué lo quieren
Por la Semana Santa. Sin embargo, si sacamos el tema de entra y de viva,
lo que ellos buscan es.
In this moment, we've converted Rodrigo to being a Duolingo studier of English. Pretty soon he's going to be talking just like this. El Papa has just finished his cita, and he can see still. Oh. Él hasta una Pierita. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, where's your... ¿Dónde es tu buñuelo?
Ya me la comí.
Oh, it's aquí.
Venga.
Quiero más gasolina, quiero más gasolina. ¿Qué?
Mi suegro.
Pero no lo va a poner.
To the real world and eat my Colombian breakfast. There's the star of the show, Gasolina. What's up, Playboy? Okay, good words. But yeah, it's been funny since my suegro had eye operation recently. We now call him like a pirata, which means pirate in Spanish. Also, today's Sunday, but last night we spent a majority of the day with our Alaskan friends. Alaskan friends being Dave, who is from Oregon, but he lived in Alaska for a long duration of his life, and he met a Colombian there, Liz, who is from Barranquilla. But they met originally in Alaska. Now they've been living in Santa Rosa de Cabal for over 2.5 years or 3 years, something around there. So we went to their house in the north part of Santa Rosa called Lambo. A very nice house, I guess you would call it like a finca. They had a barbecue there, and then later on we went to one of their friends who just opened up a lingerie boutique store in Santa Rosa, so we went there to support them. And then later on in the evening we went out dancing and socializing in the town or the city of Periera, which again is like 20 or 30 minutes depending on traffic. We went to this really cool discoteca. Yes, now we're coming to you from a part of Santa Rosa de Cabal called Lambo. It's like the north part of Santa Rosa de Cabal, and this is at my friend's house, neighbor's front yard. In the mall in downtown Periera. Now, downtown Periera is sketchy, I would say, but it helps that this discoteca is in the mall itself, and you just park your car in the parqueadero or the parking lot, enclosed parking lot, and it's nice and secure. Also, today we went to church, found out the new assignment from the father of the church, and it also is kind of confirming that, yeah, I should be able to get baptized around June, because Val and myself are only going to be in Santa Rosa, Colombia until the end of July, because that's when my visa ends. And any other updates? Well, another update. Booked my ticket to go along with Val to New York City in May, because she has to work at a conference for the company she works for, Family Office Club. So we'll be in the Brooklyn area for this conference, and we'll be there from like May 9th to 13th. It's a really quick trip. But yeah, it'll be my first time going to New York, so I'm excited, as well as Val's actually been to New York, but only for a short duration of time. And again, this trip's very short because it's just business related, but still, nonetheless, looking forward to that change of scenery briefly. And yeah, let's move on. Obviously, I'm doing a YouTube video of this place, but it's a cool place. I've actually not been to this place. I know where it's at though. Val's been to it. She recommends it because again, there's two different types of hot springs. One's very far away from the town, and this one's much closer. Regardless, let's move on. Let's get into the learnings for this week that I did on my own. Was a heaps of different LinkedIn learning courses. So I started out with focusing on what we're doing right now in the Hack Reactor course, and that's the front-end development that's utilizing the React web framework. So I did 2 React courses. The first one was called Hands-On Introduction to React, and again, a lot of it's just going through, well, I took notes on some of the key terms. A lot of it was, that's not it. I opened up the wrong file for this. Let us go back in time and find what we need to find. A lot of it went through like webhooks, just the structure, the syntax that goes into React. It's similar to JavaScript, but it's called JSX. Here we go. LinkedIn Learning Course, Hands-On Introduction. I believe it's this one. And that's actually what was probably talked about in the course. Was the hardest thing about learning React is just the language, using JavaScript language. Like here, I think I actually have it. Many people dislike about React is that's JSX. JSX is the language you use. But yeah, you talk about like single parents, basic sample, closing tags, specific closing tags you use, and like what's similar to HTML, but it's in React itself. Components, class components, passing props, React hooks, like I said, the use effect hooks, adding React to a site. You can even use, I learned about for CSS, I think it was Vite, is that what it was called? I know I saved it in my developer tools. Yeah, here we go. Pico.css. It's like another like minimal way to incorporate CSS with a little amount of code and be very effective. Think of like Bootstraps or Tailwinds. It's another version of that, but it seems even more minimal than those other 2 offerings. And Vite, a new one I've never heard of before for a tool that you can use to help with the building process of your Webpack and React itself. I know that's not introduced in the Hack Reactor course, but that's what was covered, for example, in this LinkedIn Learning course, the hands-on introduction React. And I did a second one too with another instructor. It would be this one right here, React.js Essential Trainings. All these I highly recommend just because you're getting more exposure and learnings and perspectives of React, and you're really getting a sense of just how popular and used the React courses are. Now you're seeing these locks, that's because my free trial has ended. My 1 month free trial has ended with LinkedIn Learning course. I do believe I'm going to sign up again and not do like the premium version of LinkedIn, but just the learning course aspect, because there's over 60,000 courses. They're getting updated all the time, and a lot of it's like business courses, tech courses, and other skills that pertain to just improving your professional capabilities. So I highly recommend that. Definitely, highly recommend it. And 3 others that I did this week, in addition to the React, earlier before I did the React, I actually did an introduction to prompt engineering for generative AI. And this is an evolving field at the moment that no one really knows exactly where it's going to go, or like what are good components, or I guess one could say like healthy habits to creating great prompts. But nonetheless, what you're able to extract out of these different generative AI tools. Now, the buzz one is going to be ChatGPT, of course, but there's numerous other ones, whether it's Asura, if I'm saying that right, with Microsoft, or Midjourney, or the Bing tool. How you really extract the most value out of this is going to come to how you prompt, and also understanding how the system works with like tokens and how these tokens relate to the word amount, and just knowing the capabilities of what you're working with, whether it's text generation, AI generated images. What were the advanced concepts too? Well, fine-tuning your prompts. So kind of just basically prompt engineering is really understanding pattern recognition and being able to provide examples in your prompt of what you want to get in return. And what's the terminology? There's a terminology for like not really providing much of a prompt. It's like singleton. I think it's like single tuning prompt. Let's pause this because that's going to be distracting. And in addition, I also want to touch up on my web APIs, because that is something that gets used a lot since the start of Module 2 and Hack Reactor, and APIs are something that's always going to be used in a web developer software engineer's career, because you can think of, if you want, you can take APIs for a lot of different websites. I know in this course, with this course, we went through using like a provided API and a product that was provided through this LinkedIn course to test out, and use like Postman as an intermediary to make sure like my GET requests are good, and just understand like there's 3 different structures to APIs. There's like the GraphQL one, I guess you could say like this fast API, and this one we're using basics of like GraphQL and just really focusing on GET requests. But of course there's numerous questions we do, post and the GET, and some others. But I found it a very, very valuable course. And too, I guess I'm very selective in the courses I do, and the courses I have done, I always find them valuable because I'm building around what I'm learning in Hack Reactor. In addition, I also did like a tech trends one, which was quite interesting because it's fairly recent when this was done. This was done on April 4th, 2023. And it's really just bringing it to the forefront of what's common right now in the tech world. And the first one to start out with was, of course, like AI paired programming, and the most advanced, seems like a piece of technology that a coder could have and use is AI Copilot. Now, I've not used AI Copilot. I know there's numerous individuals that have documented the time using that on whether it's YouTube. And a lot of people speak of just how efficient it makes the mundane or the repetitive tasks, and allows a coder or a programmer or the developer themselves, the technical individual, to really focus on what requires the most energy for problem solving, and more, I guess, the more like satisfying aspects to creating and architecturing a code. In addition, talking about like the GPT-4 release and its capabilities, ChatGPT, of course. When they mentioned about the merge, they're now bringing into like the aspect of like blockchain and the proof of stake versus the proof of, what is that called? Oh my goodness! But it was related to Ethereum. Proof of work. There we go. Proof of work and proof of stake. It was proof of stake before, but now it's proof of work before, but now it's proof of stake. Going into more details like generative AI, facial recognition was actually really interesting because it just really highlights that most of us are always having our face taken somewhere when there's a camera around, and we're giving up our privacy for that. But that's a whole nother discussion in itself, and there's aspects you can do to limit that, but at the same time, what are you gonna do? There's millions of cameras out there, and you're definitely gonna be seen in like public space. Metaverse has been interesting. It seems like we're about 5 to 10 years from what experts in this video were saying, from not the metaverse, Web 3.0. From really taking place, but that's still good to know. And it seems like what a lot of people are using, like talking about Web 3.0 stuff, it's more like just marketing and buzzwords to get investment into a project that doesn't really exist at this moment, and it doesn't really have capabilities just yet. So we're a little ways away from Web 3.0, it seems like. The no code was quite interesting because that came from this programmer here, Walt Richter, and he was actually talking about like these no code programs that yes, like the non-technical person, but they do have like a little technical basis, and they're able to create like miniature programs that solve business problems. So that was quite interesting too. Yeah, it just brought more into the forefront of what's current right now in the tech world and what is being focused on, and especially if you just want to understand more of the technologies that are going to continually be built, whether you want to be an investor and focus on those specific companies that are working with those technologies that you know are going to be of value to others, because that's what the trend is. Now, of course, trends are always changing, but nonetheless, it also adds to like the vocabulary of knowing how and what's common right now, what's happening right now in the tech space when you talk to other individuals in the space, or it can even be like recruiters or companies themselves. Yeah, and to sum up, also, I guess I should say this too, I also started, I'm only 17% through, but like complete ethical hacking bootcamp from Zero to Mastery. It's a great company I also recommend for just learning more additional tech skills, Zero to Mastery. And with ethical hacking, it opened up my eyes to like, first off, how do you do a penetration test? Well, you have like a 5-step thing, and I've only been working on the first step, which is information gathering. Information gathering is what you can do, whether you have permission or not permission, most of the time. And all these other ones, scanning, exploitation, maintaining access, covering tracks, you need to have permission to be involved in whatever system that you want to be hacking into, because you can get into some serious trouble. Now, you can do a lot of information gathering without having granted access, because you're not necessarily doing anything bad up until that point. Now, what I did through this course so far, which I did find really valuable, is I installed a piece of software called VMware Fusion and another piece of software called Kali Linux, and now I can run a virtual machine on my MacBook Air 2020 M1 chip. Wow, that's so satisfying to say, M1 chip. And you're going to see now my screen change into a Windows computer. How crazy is that? I'm using an Apple, now it's a Windows. And it's not really that crazy if you talk to a tech person, but if you're not a tech person and you're watching this, it's pretty mind-blowing. A much shorter password, and we're good to go. We're in. We have broken into the system. I just hacked my way into this Kali system. But check this out. So, can we make the screen bigger? There we go. That is weird. It wasn't like that before. There we go. There we go. And let's open up the terminal. And now what we're going to do is we're going to ping a website. Let's just go whatweb. We could do facebook.com. What was the website I was just doing now? Let's do like Zero to Mastery. The website that I was learning this ethical hacking course on. And so when I do whatweb, it's going to return back information on the website, whether it's like the IP address. There we go. Like certain plugins they're using, scripts, like the HTML version they're using. So here you go. This is like the IP address that it's being hosted in. You can see it's being hosted in the good old United States of America. Got a good old 200 OK status. So that means my request went through. Good to go. What else? This plugin detects, well, a script. Here's my HTTP headers request, which the headers is always vital for when you're like dissecting the API call and if something doesn't go wrong. But yeah, that was kind of cool just to see the capabilities of everything you can do in, not everything because I need to know so much more, but like all the things you can do in the terminal. And like the basic one is just like ping a website. So if I ping google.com, This is also just a way to make sure that I'm connected to the internet. If this ping goes through successfully, then I know I'm connected to the internet. The ping google.com will come back with, it'll keep firing back a request. So every time there's milliseconds, it's a really short amount of time, I'm continually going and accessing Google. Okay, enough about that. That was pretty much the last thing I want to say, other than, I guess this is the last thing. These are like key terms and phrases that relate to Module 2, so just get an idea with the Hack Reactor course. Module 2, a lot of it, like the first week or two, you're really focusing on the architecture of building out a piece of software, and that entails doing domain-driven design and the domain model. So these are just like some of the vocabulary that we talked about over the first 2 weeks that are really going to be incorporated into our module 2. But I would really focus on or highlight, I just want to share in this video, like what is bounded context, the anti-corruption layer, the difference between aggregates, bounded context, context map, and then your Docker section. What is Docker? Your Docker file, Docker image, your Docker container, your volumes, your Docker compose, the deployment versus development Docker files. And then we haven't talked about up until this point, but I know if you want to take Kubernetes. So I'm not sure if we actually get into that in Hack Reactor. I'd have to look at the syllabus again. But yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm gonna finish with my documentation of all this, and it'll be in a blog article. So I just for myself, or just getting that language down and getting that more in my head for understanding and connecting the dots. But yeah, that was my spring break in a nutshell, in an arepa, because that's what everybody eats here, arepas. Hope you enjoyed. We're going to continue on to the start of week number 10 in the Hack Reactor course this week. Looking forward to it. The volcano hasn't gone off. There's many golden retrievers in the background, so life is good. Thank you so much for watching to this point. Nos vemos el próximo. Muchísimas gracias por tu atención y disfruta tu día. Ciao, ciao. Xander Clemens, the software engineer extravaganza, is over and out from Santa Rosa de Cabal, more specifically the hot springs. Ciao for now.